Jerry in Minnesota, you're on with Don and Matt.
Hello.
How you doing?
You guys can hear me.
We can.
If I sound kind of scared, it's because I'm terrified. But
Why?
We're just people.
oh,
We're not even in the same room.
yeah, I've never called anybody before. Also, my family's really.
You've never called anybody? That might be the
Well, all right,
saddest
now
thing.
I'm getting fucking crucified over here.
No, what's up, Jerry?
Well, I came to talk about sort of related to something because I saw, I don't know how long ago he was on, but Dave Warnock, he was on.
Yeah.
He was talking about mortality. Well, that's really broad, but mortality. And it got me thinking about my own. And, of course, my dog had died, like, around that time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's not really why. But also my grandma, and she's old, and everyone knows that people have to die. But, of course, and she's old, like older than boomers, she's religious. And every time she talks about, because, you know, she has good days and she has bad days, but every time she talks about her death, she's always like, oh, well, I'll be in heaven, so I'll be looking down on you, and you better be a good kid and all this stuff. And it's really sad for me, and I don't really know what to do with that, because I don't want to, like, you know, burst her bubble or anything this far in, but I don't know.
I'd say you're unlikely to burst her bubble.
Yeah, and I don't know. What's your goal here? I mean, is your goal to convert your grandma? Is it a goal to have some better boundaries with your family? Those might be possible goals. Is it to come out to your family?
This sort of happens with my mom also, but of course she's younger. And it's kind of one where it's like, you know, well, this is what I believe, and, you know, no one's ever going to tell me what I will or won't believe. And it's just, I don't want to, like, get so sad thinking about it, because as the years go on, we see that she's losing more and more of her abilities and, you know, memory and all that stuff. We know, you know, this is getting closer and closer to the end. And I don't want to get to the point where I don't want to, like, go in and visit her, because she's, like, every time, like, almost every time she's talking about.
So she's making you uncomfortable.
Are waiting for her. Yeah. Like, she's talking about all her friends are waiting for her. And I don't want to say, oh, they're not. This is it. And she's like,
Well, I don't know. I think there you probably just need to suck it up.
Does she know you don't believe?
No, she is actually my only family member who doesn't know at this point, and I'm a little scared to tell her.
Yeah, I don't know that there'd be a whole lot of point. I don't know what the point would be. I mean, apart from, you know, if it's important for you to have her know who you are and what you believe before the relationship ends. I mean, my grandmother, who died last spring, knew that I was an atheist. She sent me like one letter about it, and apart from that, we just never talked about it. But if I was, you know, sitting in her living room and she was talking about death quite often the last time I saw her, and you know, it was kind of lighthearted joking where she was, you know, like, oh no, she was 91. Oh, I hope you don't ever live to be this old. It's just terrible, getting old as hell. And we're playing cards. And I'm like, I hope if I'm 91 that I'm still able to sit around and play cards with people who care about me. How fucking bad can that be? And she's like, okay, well, yeah, that's a good point. But it's just hell, and it's, you know, old. And I know you're looking for sympathy. I'll give you all the sympathy you want.
Let me turn it around a little bit. You know, your grandmother may be embracing religion out of fear. The prospect of dying is scary, and one doesn't know what's going to happen. You know, for me, the fear is, you know, the suffering that I'll have to go through before I die. After I die, I won't be suffering anymore. Yeah. But for someone who's been steeped in this religion through their whole lives, they may have some latent fears of going to hell or whatever. You know, it wouldn't hurt for you to say, hey, I just don't believe that, but you don't necessarily need to try to convert her. But, you know, if she has these beliefs, and I would just let her have her beliefs and let her have her fantasy, and you know, have a different sort of relationship with your younger relatives, like your mom.
Because, I mean, once again, she gets on, depressing notes as old people do, they lose their filter and stuff like that. And I just remember a couple times I've tried, make it more of a positive spin, like how she talks, I can't believe God is making me live so long. And I don't remember what I said, but I said something like, well, remember how much you've gone, how far you've come, because she's had a real rough life, grew up in the Great Depression and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys would think that just sort of dodging the religious aspect of it all and just going for positive notes, would that be better? I mean,
I think it's a reasonable way to go. I'm hard pressed to give you advice, because this is sort of your personal relationship with your family member, right?
Yeah, and I know how I did interact with my grandmother. I don't know how I would act. Like I had two grandmothers. One of them, we never talked about religious stuff, and for the longest time, I thought she didn't really like me that much, and maybe that might have had something to do with it. I found out later that that's not the case, so I kind of wish we'd had some other conversations. But I know conversations about religion with her would not have gone the same way that they went with my other grandmother. And so every relationship thing's going to be different. But the important thing is basically where Don started, which is what's your goal. If your grandmother finds out that you don't believe and you don't share her beliefs, that could actually be a good thing. You might find out that she's been harboring doubts for her entire life, and her constant talking about what's going to happen in heaven is she's looking for somebody to reassure because she has doubts. And it might be worthwhile for her to know somebody who's at least comfortable with saying, hey, I don't have any idea what happens after we die. I don't necessarily believe any of the religious claims or the stories or anything else, and so I'd rather focus on life before death rather than life after death. But I don't know your grandmother. And, in my case, it was a little easier because she already knew.
Yeah.
And so we had conversations about other stuff. And
maybe that's the thing to do. Tell her you love her and have more productive conversations that you're going to remember and cherish the rest of your life.
Ask her questions and let her tell you stories from all of her years.
There you go.
Because then you know more about her. Have her tell you stories you've heard before, stories you haven't heard before. Now you have more about her. You're building up a better memory for her. She knows that you value her, and she gets to reflect on her life rather than focusing on her death.
Well, I really hate to cut this short, but I think my dear mother is becoming aware that I am on an hour-long call, and she's going to be mortified that I was calling the Atheist Experience.
We'll have her call in, because we're a little short on theist callers today. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you guys get to the meat of the entertainment, and I hope you guys have fun.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Today.
Thank you, man.
And good luck.
All right, bye.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, not just because Dave was here recently, but the secular community at large has not done we're still in a building process. We're building communities, and we're making the world a little more comfortable for people to be out and open about their lack of religion or their animosity towards religion or whatever. But there's a lot more to being a human that we need to address, which is one of the reasons why, I'm a secular humanist. But dealing with death and dying.
Well, all the life transitions,
yeah.
The births, the coming of age, the weddings and
religion's
funerals.
Co-opted all those in the soul scam.
Yep.
And there are though communities that are doing better. Not only do we constantly reference recoveringfromreligion.org, which is a great place to go to talk with people, get counseling for things, but that's tied in with the Secular Therapist Project if you need counseling beyond just talking to, random person. But the Foundation Beyond Belief, which the Atheist Community of Austin also works with, not only has like Parenting Beyond Belief, but there's also Grief Beyond Belief, which is specifically a secular organization devoted to dealing with issues of death and dying. And that can be a time, we're getting more and more calls about it where everybody in my family is religious and somebody's going to die and I'm going to have to go to the funeral. And do I play along? Do I, do this? And my answer is always the same. Don't fuck up a party and don't fuck up a funeral if you can avoid it. Have those conversations one-on-one or in some other situation where there's not a bigger pressing issue at hand.